I just thought it.
So it's so great to see everyone, and congratulations to everyone on the new publication, Bay Area Women Artists Legacy Project, the 80s. I just think that you're all to be lauded for sticking with this project, for taking the time and dedicating all the energy to going through old photographs and installation shots and thinking about the work and really enriching our view of what that decade and the time since has provided for us here in the Bay Area. So I want to say thank you to all of you. And of course, we have a huge debt that we owe to Carol and Elizabeth. It is just beyond any conception that one could have that they could come into this and continue to work with such dedication. I think that's really extraordinary, and we're so fortunate in this group to have that spirit.
Okay.
So I'm hoping, I think, I know, yes, I expect that they'll be coming on to the Zoom with us, and we can do this all again to thank them. But I just wanted to start the recording because the sort of side topic, main topic, focus of inventorying your artwork came up, and Livia was just talking about a new management program that she has started working with. So Livia, would you like?
Oh, okay. Well, I haven't done much with it yet. I've read a little bit of it online and on the videos, but it seems sort of like a user-friendly version of an old one I had called GIST. Get Your Shit Together is the acronym for it. And they don't do a one for Macs anymore. They're only going on the cloud. And I figured that I would try something new. And they all seem to have the similarity in that, you can input your picture, and then you can tell what's happened with it and where it is, or whether you painted it over or done anything like that. Plus it has, if you kind of go to the different roots of it, it does different things for you. But, ultimately, like the Joan Mitchell book, you have a lot of input to do yourself. So, but they do have some bulk input. Like if you have images, a bunch of images that are all JPEGs in a folder, it'll download them all at once for you, supposedly. And then you can input the information. What prompted me to do this was I completely lost track of a painting that somebody saw at a little gallery and wanted to buy. And I combed my studio, I combed my house, I combed everywhere. And I can't remember going over it, and I can't remember selling it. It's like totally, you think you're going to remember all that stuff. And then you really forget after the years go on that you didn't like something and you painted it over. Big deal. But then it comes up and haunts you once in a while.
So what's the name of the new program?
I think it's called Galleria. If you go on if you Google artist self-management, artist self-management, I'm pretty sure it's galleria.com with an IA. I can look actually, but I'd have to disconnect. I could send a note afterward.
So I'm very happy to see Carol and Elizabeth have joined us. We really all wanted to express our deepest gratitude to the two of you for the new book.
Yes,
it is
gorgeous.
It is a wonderful achievement. And what is being built here with these various publications together is so striking and impressive. And we were just having a side discussion of the legacy work of inventorying all of your work, and Joan Mitchell Foundation guide has come up in conversation in these early minutes, and even the Joan Mitchell Foundation has taken note and taken the work we've done as a case study in their handbook. So you should all be very, very pleased with what you've accomplished. It's really extraordinary and a wonderful model for others to take on. So
Well, and not to mention your amazing leadership and, knowledge already of how to do this.
Yes,
You've
and
really been a
Carol's to
wonderful
do
guru.
Well, the only thing that I
Lucky to
really
have you.
think is so important to emphasize is that, as Livia said, it's a lot of work to input. It's a lot of time sitting there and going through the materials. And I think the only thing that I can say is just break it down. Just do it a bit at a time so you're not overwhelmed by it. And that whatever you have done, whether it's entering 10 drawings, 10 paintings, 10 photographs, whatever you've gotten done won't be lost and somebody else won't have to be searching for it. So everything you do is an
is that what you're showing us, Lulu?
This is my
Spreadsheet?
inventory.
Wow.
It's 80 pages.
What's the
I
Trinidad?
started it about 5 years ago with Stephanie Boris. She did Joan Brown's archive. And basically, I have to edit it, and I'm at the I's. Alphabetize, and I
by piece, by title of piece.
Yeah, by piece. And then she kept sending me new versions with the photographs here with the thumbnails. This one doesn't have it, but it's really daunting because some of these cells are wrong, and only I can edit it.
Yeah. Did you
get it on digital because that can burn?
It's on digital.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
This is just
Good.
her. She just kept sending me the copies.
I see.
Can I ask, do you keep images of all the work?
Yeah, the
I
big
do too, but I don't
problem I'm
keep it.
having.
But I mean, did they go to do the archive? Did you put it?
I'm going to interrupt. Just excuse me 1 minute, Jean, we'll get right back to you. If you could just use the raise hand so that you're not talking over each other, because the mic only picks up one person's voice and it might not necessarily be the person who's asking the question. Jean, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I don't see my raised hand. Where is the raised hand?
Under
On the bottom bar. No, I don't see it. Where is it?
reactions.
Your own hand.
Hit reactions and it says
Oh, okay. Let's see. All right, hold on. I'm learning. Oh, there you go.
See?
Okay, now I understand.
okay.
Okay.
And then, yeah. All right. So one at a time. So
So my question is, I've gone through all of my slides. Some are digitized, so that we're talking like 40, 4 decades of work. And my question is, even though I documented them on a Excel sheet and I have slides, when you say you're putting together your archive, does that mean you're going to digitize everything?
so
Well,
do you want to respond to that, Lulu?
yeah.
Okay.
So what we've done is she had me make a folder with each image titled, and then each one is titled on the spreadsheet. So they go together, and then she's putting them together one by one, matching them. It's anyway, and eventually I'll have a hard copy, but it'll look good. It'll be.
Susan.
My question is, and I didn't understand this when I quickly perused the handbook that you sent, that we got how come I'm losing?
Call.
Yeah, anyways, but what good does it do alphabetically if you can't remember the name of the piece? I don't know.
well-
These numbers sound better to me, or the year. I mean, isn't chronologically important?
Yes. Well, first of all, let me just say that it is a number system with the Joan Mitchell's recommendation. In other words, if you find a painting that you did in 1980 and it's not in the list of 10 paintings you did in 1980, you don't go back and renumber all of the 1980 paintings so that it fits into your sequence of when you painted it. You add it to the bottom of that. The year is there, so you can locate it, but it is not alphabetized by title nor by order in which you've done it. So when it gets a number with a year and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it just means that that's the number assigned in that section. It's not that that was the order in which it was painted. You can start entering it that way. I think that's very convenient, especially if you have, you know, a project that's documented with a certain number of images. But it is a numbering system that they are recommending. Is that clear?
Yeah. What do you do if like you have an image and you have information about it, but it's like a print, and it's like a print in your print drawer somewhere. What kind of when I used to work with art consultants, I used to write things on the back. You know, so maybe you have to write something on the back that corresponds with the image. That means that, like with paintings, you just have to have like a label tag on the back with the information, because otherwise you're never able to find it or know really what's going on with it.
Carol?
Yeah, I mean, there's another program. I haven't subscribed to it. I think Elizabeth does, Artwork Archive.
I
Are
dropped
you
out.
happy with it?
What?
I quit them.
How
I
come?
wasn't just getting enough value from it, but it is a good program, and you do subscribe to it. There's a fee involved, and you can export everything.
Yeah, I guess what it is, instead of a spreadsheet, which you can't really manipulate very well. I mean, you can make scripts to manipulate your spreadsheet, but it's very klutzy. A relational database allows you to search. So you can put keywords in, like themes. So you could search by theme, you could search by year, you could search by medium. If you're actually reaching out to people, it's really easy to put together like a group of things, you know, either thematically or year-wise or however else you want to. And of course, you're adding the images as you go. So it's more like be closer to, in some ways, like building your website. It's still a lot of data entry because you have fields and you can customize the fields. I don't know. It's just having worked with Excel spreadsheets a lot. I know that people use them, but they're very cumbersome, I guess.
Leah, you wanted to?
Yes, I just wanted to say what I do. I have somebody help me, but she does make a Excel spreadsheet and also a Word. I also have the Word program too, and there are 2 versions of it. One is sorted by year and one is sorted by title. So, and I can do search. I can search anything. And of course it has different columns, and it has all the information that you were talking about, like that was on the back of the piece or on the slide or something. It's all been entered in with the piece itself. So it's just, you know, I have somebody helping me with it, but it's very, very handy. I mean, and that's just Excel spreadsheets in Word.
Carrie?
I just want to say that be very careful with whatever you're using. Many years ago, I had some help, hired someone to enter my art inventory on a program called eArtist. And I did it for years. And then all of a sudden, eArtist decided that they weren't going to do it anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
I was screwed.
I used for years too.
Yeah, so I just want to say be very careful. I have heard good things about the artwork archives. I'm interested, Elizabeth, why did you say you're not using them anymore?
Well, I just stopped using it because I have my own file system and I back it up. And it's something that I can't advise all of you on because my husband has his own software photo filing system, which cross-references and has keywords to everything. So even if I can't find it by the title, I know by the year or by the color or by various other keywords. And then I have it all organized in a very different way. And I stopped using Artwork Archive. It just was such a time suck. But it has a beautiful, I think they've improved. I stopped using them probably during the pandemic. And I felt like I just had far more control over my own system.
I would also just like to point out that a lot of these services are costly. And depending upon how much work you're going to enter, how many files you're going to have records, it becomes very, very expensive. So,
yeah, and
so
that was it.
That's one thing is like, it seems doable initially. And maybe if you have 100 or 1,000 or 2,000, but probably if you have works on paper, you really are exceeding even that. I mean, it becomes very expensive. I'm sorry, Pamela, you wanted to speak. You had your hand up before you were doing this. Did you want to speak? You're muted.
Muted.
You're still
You're muted.
We'll come back to you. Mary has her hand up. Mary, you wanted to say something about this inventory?
Just that some of the glass folks use FileMaker Pro, which
Yeah.
is kind of like using Excel, except it's a little, it's harder to learn, but
Yeah.
A lot of the programming management systems that are out there are in fact based on FileMaker. Pamela, you wanted, I'm sorry.
Thank you, Jan. I just wanted to know which one Carol Benioff was talking about, which program.
It was Artwork Archive. I haven't used it. I just have looked at it and I get their emails a lot on their mailing list. I mean, you could use another database and have someone design it specifically so it works for art. You know, because I've done that with somebody where I basically was using, I guess it's Access, which is a Microsoft product, but you could use FileMaker Pro, but you would need to have somebody who is a database designer and you'd work with them and you tell them kind of like what Elizabeth has with her husband, what I want to actually be able to do with this database, you know, how to, you know, which fields do I want to have? What kind of fields are they? Are they text fields? Are they number fields? You know, and how do they relate to each other? Because that's what a relational database is. So
I'm going to
Thank
say
you.
something that is not going to sound very popular, not going to be proof popular. And that is, because I don't do this myself, but I think this is key, is to name your files. Because if you've got 5,000 images on your computer and they all are IMG 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, you are causing havoc for anyone who comes along. So the simplest thing is every time you've got an image, if you name the file, you already are making life easier for whoever has to come and deal with it. Yeah, Carol.
I actually name the file, has the size, the medium, the year.
Yeah.
Just so everything is in the file name. It also makes it easy when I'm applying for something and I upload that file. It's like all the information I need for that image is in the name itself.
Yeah. And also if things change, for instance, I also had GIST way back when. And when I took a lot of those images, they had numbers that corresponded to GIST, and I've allowed them to stay there behind everything else with my new name, so that I can always correlate back, because I change names on work. I mean, I've shown the same painting. We paint over things. We change names, and some of us just have 500 untitled. So
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
all that
absolutely.
information and record is fine. And in terms of actually marking the artwork with that inventory number, so it is recommended in this handbook, and it is recommended by others, that you in fact mark on the artwork the actual inventory number that you have. And I, being hesitant to put labels on that I know can also fall off, adhesives dry out, they can fall off. But when I asked about, well, what happens when you go from one inventory system to another, for instance, the Diebenkorn Foundation, they had a whole numbering system for all of Diebenkorn's work. When the catalog raisonné was going to finally be published, everything was getting a new number from the catalog raisonné. And so what I was advised by archivists was just to simply go ahead, because you just have one number and then you have the next. And that's the way libraries function as well. So not to hesitate. I love getting, this information for things I don't do myself.
It makes me want to cash in on my 2-week free trial and not use it and just go back to being a little more thorough myself, because you do have to do the same sort of input. And they can go out of business, and it starts off at $18 a month for an individual, and the more you use it, the price does go up. You're right about that.
Lulu.
I put all the data for each painting next to it, the year, the medium, the surface, and all. And then I gave it to this woman, and she put it all in, and I paid her $30 an hour. She would come over and sit next to me, and we'd do it together. And she's fabulous, and her name is Stephanie Boris. And Jeremy Stone gave me her name.
That's
Are you
so
willing to
lucky.
share her?
It is Stephanie.
Yeah, she did Joan Brown's, and I think she worked for Ed Gilbert for a while. So she knows her stuff.
When I did the Joan Brown show, I got to know her and worked.
Right. She's very sweet. She looks like a little Dutch boy or whatever. She has a little Dutch haircut.
I want to give a short reminder that when we time out, we can just come right back in with the same link. I just want you to know that we'll have a little break and come back in the same link.
Could you put her name in the chat?
It's Stephanie Boris, Boris. I'd have to find, let me find her in my, let's see, just a second, in my contacts. And I could just give you.
I'm going to say something that isn't Catholic here. Even if you don't have a system like this, you can simply record as you're going along with your work. Every record is going to help. Every list for every show you have, just marking down the work, all of those things will help in the future. It'll help organize. It'll let people know what you did when and where. It all is useful. Yes,
I have it here.
So if you go to the bottom of your screen,
right,
click on chat, and it'll pop up on the right, and then you can just type in there and everyone will see it.
Okay. All right. Oh, here. Okay.
I can't find it on the iPad.
I have it on book, so I I have performance anxiety here.
Blame you.
Okay. And let's see, it's ECES.
I also want to mention it's really important to back up your work. Don't rely on the cloud. And we have a relationship with friends. But my husband is a computer scientist, where we back up everything we do monthly and we bring it to their house physically. So if there were ever a fire or a flood or whatever, there's always a way to get it
Earthquake.
back.
Earthquake. I have
Yeah.
my stuff backed up in Los Angeles and in New York, both.
Yeah, that's even better. We're only doing it with one person, but we probably should do it with two.
And yeah, and not a neighbor on your street.
No, not on our street, like 15 minutes away, but it's, if the big one were to hit, they'd be affected too. You're absolutely right. Yeah.
Okay, can you see that?
Yes.
put her name-
Yeah.
Yes.
And that's her email, and tell her I sent you. And tell her a little bit about what we're doing, because I probably should ask her permission, but I don't think she's a pretty generous person.
Well,
What do you
I can talk to her also about it, because I work with her. So
Okay. Oh, good. Yeah,
Yeah.
she said she worked with you.
the next time I see her, I will.
Show her the books.
What?
Show her the books.
Yeah, I'm
She'd
sure
love
I have
them.
already, because I've had her. The picture that I have in is put into my file that it's in the book, so the book's listed there too. So yeah.
good. Well, when we come back, we can start talking about the next book.
Ah,
There's
Oh,
no,
boy.
there's no rest for the weary, as
No.
they say,
Have
But,
you got the person to write for it yet?
No, and I have asked that everyone send me names. If you have someone to put forward, we're going to start the process all over. So send a name and we will see who's getting the votes and how they come in, and then we'll start contacting and seeing who we can engage in this new project.
Okay.
I think it's really really exciting that we are really creating something that hasn't existed yet. It's really wonderful. There's definitely a lot of interest and sense that this is of value, and I think that it might have seemed almost unbelievably ambitious when we started, but we're kind of halfway there now.
Well, I think the timing now is good too, because there's a lot of interest in work from these different periods and women and old women. So anyway, there is a lot of interest now. So.
There is. Lulu.
did you read the Marilyn Minter article in the New
Did.
York Times? The very last line was, "The art world loves bad boy, young artists, and old women." I have it
Good.
on my wall.
That's great. Yeah.
I think what the art world loves is to be the next thing.
Right.
Yeah.
It's kind of like picks it up, chews it up, spits it out, picks up the next thing. Actually.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree.
But
I-
we've been the next thing all our lives.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
Is 40 minutes up?
we have 2 more minutes to go. So we can start talking about about writers, but I think that that's the kind of conversation we should have in our emails, and not necessarily in this kind of recording that goes up and gets shared on YouTube.
That's
But,
true.
That's just my feeling about these things, because there's a lot of conversation we can have, online with each other within our group that is a little bit more private and is less likely to be hurtful in any way or difficult or
Yeah.
in any sense. And basically, I think we have so much admiration for all these great women who are dedicating themselves to supporting the work of others. I mean, that's what all these writers are doing. And I think we'll just be really grateful for them to take the time to address this work, which is really
I like the way the writer in this book, the 80s, contextualized our
Yes,
existence, so clearly.
yes.
Really talked about all the problems very well.
Yeah.
And by quoting people.
And a very interesting mix of both the academic and the personal, and then the outward again. It kind of goes in and out. It's very interesting the way she's framed it.
Yeah.
And that we get to hear the different voices of all these writers is really also wonderful.
Great.
Definitely.
Kim.
I had to unmute myself.
Oh.
I don't believe Sass Colby is here, is she? Okay, so she asked me to mention, and I have to agree with her, that the text is so